Right, well, welcome to the June meeting of Watershire Council. I declare the meeting open and I call for apologies.
We have an apology from Councillor Dixon.
Councillor Nixon, no further apologies. Would somebody like to move that we accept that apology?
And Leah Daly will be...
Leah Daly's going to be late, yeah. Councillor Egan, second Councillor Galvin. Put that motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No, carried. These things are a bit echoey. Now I'd ask for somebody if that would move a confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 19th of May. Councillor Matthews it was. I've just had a blank for a second, sorry. Seconded Councillor Galvin. Put the motion, those in favour say aye. Aye. It's no carried.
There are no
presentations. So I call now for declarations of interest, gift received and conflict of interest, and I have to declare an interest in the item on the Kiora feedlot. I will leave the
Declare an
room.
interest in that, Mr Mayor.
Three interests there in that same. Any more? You got one?
Yeah, I declare my interest as well.
Yep, good. Councillor Matthews cleared an interest in the donations list. Anything else from anyone? No, we'll move on then. Additional 8 items, there isn't any. No more on minute, deferred items in the confidential agenda. Then we go to the committee recommendations on the committee meeting held on the, I don't know when it was now. 6th of June. They're all there in front of you. That would have had to be in the previous. Is there any problem with that? Somebody like to move that motion that we adopt the recommendations from the June meeting, committee meeting?
Recommendations of June meeting.
Councillor Egan, Councillor Colton, second to that. V. Colton. Put the
Can I just
motion.
make a comment?
Yeah, sure.
On the electric vehicle subsidy, I think that was about actually having locations where vehicles could be charged. Under the government program to sponsor that, we did apply, but we didn't receive the funding that we requested. But I understand there is a charging point at the Pingree Showground.
I
That's
don't
been
know if
used.
it's a charging point as such, but the three-phase power is available there to plug into it. So
No,
it's probably somewhere we could connect to.
Yeah, no, well, actually, I know that a Tesla has been charged there.
Yes,
Yeah,
fellow at Flood
Yeah. Yeah.
charged his Tesla.
Just off a three-phase point.
I think that's
Yeah,
right.
because we've got them at Royal too. I think that really refers to, we had some correspondence saying that there was a 70% subsidy available to install these stations. That's what that was referring to, and I think we were going to follow up on it.
Yeah, we will follow up on
Yeah.
all the subsidy with it.
Yeah.
On the living classroom, there has been a press release which was on Facebook hopefully yesterday. And also, we're having a meeting up there on the 8th of July with some interested people about, we've allocated an area that they could possibly have a community garden. And I think the interested people have been invited to attend a meeting on
Good.
the 8th of July.
So all
Vegetable garden. What sort of garden?
community,
Community vegetable garden,
Vegetable.
basically, yeah.
like that one at Inverell, I presume.
What time is it now? Please.
Welcome, Lou.
I don't know the time, but it's on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Probably about 10 o'clock, but I'm not sure.
It's 10, because it's
Okay.
Sorry, morning, Leah.
Are you right there?
If you,
What's on? What precinct is It's been recorded that Leah Daly just arrived. Now, I had a move in a second there. I'll put that motion. Those in favour say aye. Aye. It's now carried. Now we go on to item 10.2, May Investment and Rate Collection Report. I keep looking down there. Helen, over there, mother.
Just your standard monthly report that I can take any questions that you have.
Okay.
Being that it's the 30th of June today, tomorrow all hell breaks loose again, so we can start preparing the financial statements for this financial year.
Yeah. Look, Helen, I had a simple question. What's happening with TCorp?
So for TCOP, they're actually closing their cash fund and their medium growth fund that we currently invest in. So as of today, we can no longer put further funds in there, but we can leave what's in there until October.
Okay.
So we have taken, the medium growth was actually losing us money, so we've removed money from there and put everything into the cash fund until October when we have to pull it out, and hopefully by then interest rates will have gone up a little bit so that but we're struggling to find anywhere that will offer us a very good rate. We've tried NAB, we've tried the Regional Australia Bank, no one has the facility where they want to pay decent interest but also have the money at call.
That call. What about the local one here?
We've tried that. We're continuing to work on what is going to be best for council up until October.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we moved to a situation where we had most of our funding sitting in those cash funds that were earning interest and was still at call. We're going to struggle to find that anywhere else.
It's pity we have the restriction, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
we could be making money with that money.
Yeah.
I suggest we don't pay the bills and keep it like that.
No, that's a good idea.
What are we bidding on that at the moment?
Well, the cash investment's not too bad. I can get you the figures. Yeah, it's a rolling average that they do because it's different every single day. The cash management has a much higher interest rate, but it's also much riskier. So I'm just not sure what other councils are using. They're pulling those, TCorp are pulling those accounts because they're saying they're not getting utilised by councils. So I don't know what other, we're doing our best to find out what other councils are doing, but most councils, if you're not cash poor like we are at times throughout the year, then you can have money sitting in long-term deposits where you don't need it at call. We kind of try and stash it away and only get it out when we need it, but if they're in long-term term deposits, the money you've got to pay to break those deposits, you lose anything you're going to gain from having it in there.
Okay, if there's any other questions?
And you'll notice that our rates collection is back up to 95% for,
Well and truly on track, it's
Well,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just incredible, I think, yeah.
so, and that was the other, sorry John, from the 1st of July we will also be moving to using the debt collection agency that came and did the presentation. So they start officially as of tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been nice to have some way of congratulating our community
Yep.
in their rate paying ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be a really nice service for the community that they don't feel like they've got to talk to an individual that's local to the community.
Yes, that's right.
They can have those hard conversations with someone that isn't from here.
Anyway, what you've been doing is working because the negotiations work where people are honouring their commitments. It's been good. Is there any questions, any further questions of Helen? If not, can I ask a member of the recommendation, please? Councillor Moore, Councillor Galvin. Put the motion, those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, no, carried. Organisation Community Services report.
Just in time, this report includes a summary of our customer service requests, also a report on our action progress throughout the year. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, Leah, I think that customer service request thing is working very well. But who's managing that now? There used to be somebody following up on it all. Was it Carmen or?
It must come, through Justin's team.
Justin's team,
Yeah.
is it? Right, okay. Anyway, it's working well and you can see the result there where the requests have been handled in a short time. Any questions on that? No, can somebody, thank you, Councillor Colton. Councillor Mulligan seconded that. Affirmation, those in favour say aye. Aye. Now, do you want to go through that progress report or not? I've only got a couple of things out of it which I've had answered privately, but is there any questions in it, I guess, the way to go? I'm really testing to see if you read this because there's one blaring question that needs to be asked. I've already asked it. No? Well, I won't keep you in suspense. It says there that the IB Bore Road's 95% complete And I thought, crikey, he's moved quickly.
It was a 9 where there's supposed to be a 0. 5% complete is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
correct answer. We have
That's the
a,
drainage is complete.
yes,
Yeah.
we have a promotional video that will go on our Facebook this week regarding that project and its progress, which we're able to play during this meeting if
Yeah,
somebody would like that.
and we are meeting with the
Change your name to what, DeMille?
I'm not in it.
Cecil B. We're meeting next week, I think, with the mayor and the acting GM at North Star about their section, the last 3 kilometres of that road. We'll see what happens with that.
So this report that you're just talking about now only has to be given to you quarterly. There's only a requirement to give it to you quarterly. But the staff have met and decided that it's something that you should see monthly, but happy to wind it back if you don't find it useful.
It's useful. I'm going to ask my questions I've already asked next. I asked for a progress update on the leasing of the pools. Is that confidential, Max, or
No,
not?
I don't think it's confidential, but, well, there is certain procedural issues that have to be followed in terms of staffing, which we're
Yes, I understand that. That's why.
but we're likely to advertise within the next 2 weeks, actually, for both Warrialda and Bingra. There are some caveats. We're relying on a plumber to complete the accommodation at the Bingra
Caravan park.
caravan park. And we've been waiting for some time. They are difficult, you know, to get tradesmen to finish those jobs.
Plumber on the Shire or he can't?
We haven't got a registered plumber, have we?
No, well, you're not, there's certain buildings that our guys can't do, and we've got a plumber in the Shire that's right on top of us.
That's right. Isn't it?
Sorry?
The electricals?
No, the electricals are finished, but we are waiting on the upgrade of all the electricals for both the caravan park and swimming pool. But that's scheduled to happen before the swimming season as well. I think that we're also waiting for the actual legal document, the leases and all that sort of stuff, but we can prepare an expression of interest document which we can advertise, and that's what we're going to do.
And the next question I had for Max was about the slab at the living classroom.
Yeah, as far as I know, the slab has been laid. They've done certainly all the Rio work and all that. I've been away for a couple of days, so I haven't looked, but I understand the slab has been laid. And I should point out, we've had to redesign the slab from what was originally designed simply because it was too expensive, given the budget, so we had to redesign the slab area and especially the pier supports. And like the engineer that designed it was pretty much over the top because of the reactive soil. So we've used an engineer that's done a lot more work in the local area to redesign.
Reactive up there?
I didn't think it would have been. I thought it's all shale, isn't it?
No, it's very reactive.
Is it?
apparently.
Is
It's clay, but I thought it was
No,
stony
but the
enough.
base is shale. I thought it's not like basalt. Anyway, the other question I had of Max was about when we're looking at the LEP, about whether we're going to reduce our lot sizes as in allowing hobby farms. I'm getting at.
Yeah, in that land located close to urban villages or around the urban areas, create the potential for further contribution of rural res type lots. And also fix some of the anomalies that exist. For example, I found out that the Barunda subdivision is actually zoned rural, not rural res, which seems like a glaring anomaly. Yeah, north of that.
So it's rural.
Yeah, it's zoned rural.
Well, I suppose it wasn't changed. I don't know.
No, it wasn't changed.
No. It was a rural property, of course. Once.
So when,
And I just going to report that the laws is separate for the Orange Festival. and stuff.
Oh, I did notice that. Yeah. I mean, the Honey Festival is 100%, and the Orange Festival starts 2 days. It's 50%.
It's at the end of May.
No, look, we're not having a go at it. Oh, that's all the only questions I had out of those traffic light reports, I suppose you call them, but
yes, that's exactly what they meant.
yeah. Has anyone else got anything?
You've already adopted it, so.
Yeah, I know. So 10.4 is solar panel savings, which is a report.
This one should excite some council.
It does, it makes me very happy to see that saving.
Tell you what, what didn't excite me was the feed-in tariff.
No.
There's nothing at all. No.
I asked a question about Nauru and I was told that a significant part of the monthly electricity bill is standing fixed costs. They've got nothing to do with
With the
the
amount of
power
power,
you use, and I find that to be,
that probably needs renegotiating.
yeah, I don't know, that's what it was. Because, the savings weren't there that we were originally
No.
We thought there was a lot of savings at Nauru, that's why we went ahead.
Well, wasn't it 12,000 a month?
12,000 a month was the figure.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is some savings, but not as much as we anticipated that month.
No, I think the other thing you've got to bear in mind is that 177 on it is over the life of the, since they were installed. So it's not
No,
as startling as you might think.
It's still a saving.
It is, yeah. Well, I think the thing is that we've got to make sure it's going to pay for itself, and it looks like it will. The
And we
system.
need to know that someone checks the meters at least weekly to see that those.
Still performing.
Yeah,
You've only got to push a button and it's there.
yeah,
Yeah.
that needs to be
Yeah,
done weekly.
that's right.
Just for some reason one goes
Yeah,
down, and
yeah.
it can go down.
At home, I do it 3 times a day. It's that exciting.
Well, you might like to do it here.
I think with Nauru, the thing was though, I think the plan Nauru's on, because it's on a commercial plan, you can see the kilowatt price is much, much lower for Nauru. It's only 0.09, whereas everywhere else is 0.31 and 34. So I think even though there's all those much higher fixed costs, the cost of the actual electricity being used is already much lower.
So therefore, the panels didn't make a significant
Yeah,
change.
I'm not entirely sure, but I can remember Saul did say that the cost of the electricity is much lower at Nauru than anywhere else to begin with.
Maybe that needs,
Yeah, I think so.
maybe it needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
Because there may be room for negotiation
Yeah.
there. But, it's a very big bill, isn't it, the power bill at Nauru? Mm.
It's not a good you can really change the electricity.
So if it's commercial, what are the council chambers? And what's the depot? Are they not commercial?
Well, yeah, whether it's the amount of power that gets used is the determining factor, because you can see, I mean, it's 1,300 compared to everywhere else that's 200 or less.
Yeah.
But potentially, if the kilowatt price was as high at Nauru as it is everywhere else, and you didn't have those fixed costs, it may be that it's even more expensive than just having those standard fixed costs every month with the lower.
Yeah, because, it has a massive, what were the panels producing a hell of a lot? Yeah, okay, there it is. No, I can't put it in.
Because there's also no feed-in tariff for Nauru either.
No, well, you would hope that it consumed all the power it produced during the day. Yeah. Is there any questions, any further questions on that? I'll ask for a mover of the recommendation. We can find one today. Councillor Moore and Councillor Egan. Put the motion, those in favour say aye. Aye. Executive Services Report. Just you, Max.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe you could update on what other changes.
When will they be ready?
They're all but ready,
Are
where
they?
the plastering's done. I had a look yesterday, and we're waiting on the floor coverings, and then the furniture will be the thing that holds us up a little bit.
Will it?
But it's looking very good.
Where's that?
The Royal Council Chambers, they're modernising them.
On the new dog pound,
Yes.
we're just organising a better vehicle entry, and I was going to suggest that if you want to, we could organise an inspection in a couple of weeks, so councillors can go out and have a look at it.
That'd be good. I'd like to go and see. Yeah.
I'll coordinate a date and let you know.
You look at the council chambers at the same tree.
Yeah, I'm going to look at that before then.
I suggest we have a bus trip like we used to have 4 hours in the
Around the roads. Well, Liddy, they're impassable, aren't they? They're too rough.
A lot of them are.
Yeah.
We could get like one of those 4-wheel drive buses like they have up in the Northern Territory.
Sure.
The Yennegoon.
Or at the Darrell Order Troopies and run in the back.
I will say that I think Councillor Egan's idea is good in that it will give the councillors a better indication of what our flood damage situation is, and I'm not sure what sort of questions you're fielding about that situation now, but certainly over the next 2 years, I'd expect those questions to be coming in thick and fast.
Yeah, I agree. I think the dog pound rate should be a separate thing, but we can organise a bus trip as well.
I think you're probably better to do it when it warms up a bit.
If we did it for the north in conjunction with perhaps holding a council meeting at a remote location, would be good to save Lyndon a 2-hour trip.
Yeah. So, you'd have to rally a bit of support to come to the meeting. We had one at Crop Creek and nobody came. I just thought it was a waste of time. But then we had a community meeting after that. I think I got home at 3 o'clock in the morning, so it was all right. The Cleanaway thing is always a worry, isn't it? This contamination. Can we do anything about that?
Well, we can. We can have someone actually go around before the garbage truck and inspect.
We don't be doing that there.
Well, that's-
I just thought an incentive thing. I don't know.
brain transplants.
Yeah. Organics contamination has been collected in bins on site.
It's not as much of a problem. Right, it's a problem each time.
Is this
Right, it's
report
not
just
as
for
much.
our shire, or is it the whole?
No, it's a whole.
Oh, lot,
The-
3 shires.
Yeah, the problems are right across the 3 shires.
Yeah.
It's actually getting better, but it should be nil. There should be nil other material. It's not hard.
So easy, yeah.
Unfortunately, we have people that like to not do the right thing. I just drove in this morning and I see that someone's driven along the Elkham Road and ploughed down a number of mailboxes.
That happened on Friday night.
Dreadful. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with stupid?
Real easy, you can fix that problem later. Go with the driver and drive a bit of
Yeah.
3-inch pipe about that high off the ground.
Yeah.
Don't do it again.
Take his sump out, that'd be the
Take the sump out.
The trees up there and I wasn't allowed.
Yeah, so that's the second lot, isn't it? Because they did all that damage up going up to the cemetery up the top of Rebel Street with those trees.
Yeah. But it's probably not the same people.
And then they've done that.
There's the signs along the Elkham Road a few weeks ago. Now it's mailboxes. That'll all be there.
Well, that's how I fixed them on the Oregon Road, particularly when they were doing all the guideposts in my mailbox.
You
Nice
put a
work.
bit of pipe in.
And,
When they don't have much respect for their vehicle.
no, exactly. And Bev said they've made a terrible mess down at the Common when we had the business meeting the other day. She said they're
Well,
making.
people have been doing wheelies down there and
Yeah.
tearing the place up. Not lately, but when the weather was warmer.
What variety are the trees in the street become a bridge? The trees in the middle of the road.
Oh, I don't know. The ones that planted. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Anyone know?
I don't know what the name,
They're obviously evergreen.
and they're nice trees,
Mm.
good trees.
They're the same everywhere, aren't they?
No, because you've ordered claret ash, haven't you? I noticed in the report. They're deciduous. Yeah, I'll find out.
They look the same as the ones at the Warrialda Pool, if that's helpful.
That's
I
good.
don't know what they
It's a
are.
big clue.
They look the
They
same.
call them the Warrialda Pool tree.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
I see.
To Max. Max, 34 Roger Moore Crescent, the chap that brought the old Temex depot there, he was talking to me the other night, and he seems to be having a lot of trouble getting through council putting containers there. You must put containers there for storage, and splitting them in half. You'd have to talk to Patsy about it, but he's just having a lot of trouble getting containers.
That'd be zoned
Yeah,
industrial,
right.
wouldn't it? Would that
Don't, yeah,
industrial there?
I know there must be an issue because there was a block of land down here and it was a big wait trying to get.
Well, we've got a policy on
Yeah.
residential area, but I don't know what,
This
I don't know what
was-
the industrial.
This was in, on Kira Road. I know, because Brad was doing a, slab there and it took forever to get the approval for the container to be put there.
one of the reasons he said to me was, there's a sewage main run through there, and he didn't want to put a permanent fixture over the
No, yeah,
slab, because if you got to move them, they can get access to it, that's all.
okay.
Can I suggest Patsy and Saul will be here for the discussion on Kiora? You could ask that question then,
Right.
Okay.
if there's an issue.
Can I just check if we're up to date? Are we staying on top about development applications?
I think so.
Okay, so
I usually get telephone calls if,
Yeah, was-
the only person I'm getting information from at the moment is Simon Bill.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I know the reason for that, yeah.
So,
That'll be handled in July.
Yeah.
The panel will be meeting, Catherine, in July for the quarry application. It was, they didn't have enough to go the third day this month, so they put it back. That's what happened. I have a question there, 60 J.M. McGregor Drive, a new aerated wastewater treatment system. Why wouldn't that be going into the sewage?
yeah, I don't know, I'd have to find
Okay,
out.
I'm glad. I always like to ask a question that you don't know the answer.
New area,
Another question for Patsy.
Yeah, is it?
wastewater. Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do there that would require that.
I don't know.
Recycling the use of the water.
You think that's what it, you don't think it's,
It's grey water, not black water.
yeah, okay.
Who would that be? Wouldn't be Mick Carroll, would it? With the buses, washing the buses or anything.
Don't know. Yeah.
Sounds extreme if it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see, the article where Ingrid tops the list for at the regional list for housing
Yeah,
prices?
In what way, Tip? But
Well, I went on and had a look, and it said, I'm just trying to find it again.
It had to
Oh,
be, we've got
but
the
is
highest
it- oh.
growth in sales for places where there's limited opportunity to purchase
yeah.
housing.
No, it's-
it was our
And
subdivision.
you're top of the
Yeah.
regional list.
Now, my question really is it the price of the houses or the sales, or I don't
I
understand.
think it's the sales of the houses.
Okay, well, I can understand that, yeah.
But the
Yeah.
prices have skyrocketed too.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, but I think it was referring to the sales.
Yeah, okay.
Manila was on the list as well. They were the only two that I think were in New South Wales, was Pingra and Manila.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
Is there any questions of Max in this report, before I ask for a mover of the recommendation? Yes, Councillor Moore.
On this, in the weeds inspection, that's
Yeah, yeah.
Read through the weeds present, and there's no mention there of, any of the weeds that find are like, what, not listed in there.
Well, it's not a
It's not
noxious
a
weed.
noxious weed.
Well, cotton's not a noxious weed, but neither is mimosa, but I see it's reported here at truck stop.
We spray mimosa.
Well, cotton's not a noxious weed, definitely not.
No.
No. But mimosa's not either,
No, but we do spray for
but
that.
it is there.
So, yeah,
It should be.
yeah.
Now, that was, Councillor Tremaine's comment, oh, no, sorry, ex-councillor Tremaine's comments were that we should be doing something about wild cotton, but it's not a council problem, and it's not a noxious weed, and it's more on private land than public land anyway. And, but I think too that it got away in the drought, and I don't know that it'll be that prolific after it.
Is China, I thought Chinese elm's got to mention there too, is it? It's not declared noxious weed, though.
I don't know, I thought it might have been.
and the waterways.
Yeah, it gets away.
I know there's a heap of them in my yard.
Yeah. Well, you might
I'm going to
be,
cut them down, they're too big.
you might end up in court if you don't control them.
They said those mob top trees are now classed as the noxious weed too. But that's, you can't buy them anymore.
Yeah.
So the people at the nursery told us.
Know that.
Everyone's trying to examine what we're trying to do.
I remember at a meeting years ago, there was a lot of criticism that we spent 10 minutes on weeds and 3 minutes on the budget, so I think we're.
He said that.
So I'm going to look for a mover of the recommendation. Councillor Galvin, and seconded by, got him everywhere, Councillor Smith. Put the motion, those in favour say aye. Against, no, carried. Now the rate now, this is a fairly procedural sort of a thing, but as you would have read this, where we've been granted a 0.7% increase, massive increase. And it's just a formality that we actually move that we adopt that rate. Is there any questions? You're moving it?
I'd suggest that you actually adopt all of it except the donations, and you refer the donations to the confidential part. That's, I think.
So we're doing that.
Wait a minute now.
So it's not just making the rate, it's also adopting the IP&R documents.
adopting-
Oh, is it? I
Yeah.
didn't read it well. Oh, of course it goes on, yeah. Okay. Yeah, right, well, I will suggest that.
So adopt all down to,
You've got, but excluding the
yeah,
donations.
yeah, and then the donations one will be dealt with separately.
Yeah,
which
in
I'll tell you.
confidential session, if the meeting agrees.
Just a question. I've got to find it first, I read it and now I can't find it. There seems to be a variance in the residential, Warialda residential urban at 0.022, I think it's only 1.4. Is that,
In the ad valorums, are you talking, or?
yes, I am talking over all.
So that's how we balance out the value of the properties, so that rates become equitable across both
Okay.
areas.
I knew how, but I just.
That's because of the
double
DO.
up there.
It's also a continuation of the different values of the properties within Warialda and Bingara, like the rate in the dollar is, it's,
Yeah.
but, like we had no revaluation, did we? So people can expect that their rates will only go up by 0.7% in generally, so it's a minor increase really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? This is pretty important that we know what we're doing here.
Are there many other councils going for that extra rate?
Yes, yeah, in our area, I think 76 councils across New South Wales.
Armidale's going for 50%.
That's huge.
Oh, over 3 years.
Out there, but it should be probably known to people, when we put that up 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's an extra. How far do we go on another question?
15 and
15.
15.
Yeah.
You did?
On it there, that we've, in doing that, we've sort of kept them.
Yeah, well, been able to absorb it.
Yeah, I haven't even heard actually whether all the councils were successful in
A
this.
lot of them were.
Yeah, they did say that if you put in to get up to the 2.3 or whatever it was, you were pretty much guaranteed to get it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about the other special rate variations that were above and beyond the normal rate peg.
I don't think Armidale, I don't know if they've even submitted theirs yet, but they are going for 50%. And I noticed where Willoughby went to 2.3, I think, and got it. But they said, but your rates are actually going down because they finished some levy. They levied everybody to build something or other, and that's now run out. So while the rate's gone up, their actual rate notice has come down. But yeah, I don't know. I think councils in the future will pay for this 0.7 rise.
Well, I was just about to say, that's what I wanted to ask you. If we go for this 0.7 and we've dropped off, whatever it is, 1 point something, we fall behind forever and a day.
That's
we
right.
fall behind.
Yep.
And it makes a difference.
It will.
Should we
It's cumulative, isn't it? Yeah.
It's,
cumulatively, it
yeah.
impacts.
The effort involved in trying to put in a special rate variation, in the staff's opinion anyway, wasn't worth the effort of doing it for the little gain you would
For
get.
the 1.6 that we lost
Yeah.
this year, there's potential that we could discuss further into next year that we go for a 3 or a 4% to,
Pick up that.
yeah. Especially if it's looking like they're going to keep us at a 0.7
Yeah, it's
for
just,
the next bit, you're probably far better off just doing a special rate variation for a set amount and then factoring in the 0.7 that you're going to get over the next few years, rather than trying to do it every year.
That makes
the,
sense.
Yeah,
the rates should really be linked to the CPI or something like that. I mean,
you would
the
think so.
CPI is not even relevant to us, is it?
It
Alex,
should
in
be
your
linked,
department?
it should be linked to a CPI which is relevant to us, which
Yes,
is like
yeah.
the road.
Like the road CPI would be, what, 9% or something?
No,
wouldn't it?
it's about 6.5.
6.5, yeah. But anyway, well, that's what we're, well, it'll depend on what you decide today, but that's what's been recommended, that we just accept it. And I suppose, Councillor Smith, you're right, it'd be good if we could broadcast to the community that we're one of the few councils that have adopted the lower increase and.
Well, we can add that to a mayoral column
Oh, yeah.
along with thanking people for payment of their rates
Yeah,
during
yeah,
such
that's a good
a hard
idea.
period.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we don't thank the people, because if we've got the intention of rising it next year, neglects what we're saying.
No, that could be included in the statement, that we've stuck to the 0.7, but we can't continue to do that. Yeah. All right, well, I need to move, unless there's any more questions of that recommendation. Are you moving that, Councillor Matthews? Thank you. The seconder, Simone? Councillor Smith? Any further questions? So I will put that motion, the opposite recommendation. I'm not going to read it out. Those in favour say aye. No,
So you just need a motion
Oh.
now to defer the,
Can you include that in your motion, Councillor Matthews, that we defer the donations list to the, what do you call it, confidential meeting, please? And Councillor Smith, you happy with that? Right. That's what you've just passed, everybody. Councillor's activity report, see in front of you. It is as accurate as you have on your diary, isn't it? Because I've missed a few. It doesn't matter. Somebody
yeah,
like,
if you don't,
yeah,
Sharice informed.
Sharice told us that, yeah. Thank you, Councillor Egan. Seconder, Councillor Galvin, put that, those in favour say aye. It's now carried. Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting minutes. Helen, you want to make any comment on that?
I have a presentation by Forsyth, by Jacob Sauer, who's the audit partner. He will be looking after our audit this year. That's really updated about.
Yeah, I think that nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah, we went through the IPNR documents, that was about, and the plan is for the following financial year for our item of internal audit, we're going to use the risk assessment that Chris Beard has already started working on. So we'll kill two birds with one stone. And he will provide an update at every ARIC meeting throughout the year for how we're progressing with all of our WHS and all our risk stuff that's been identified that we need to work on. I don't know whether Leah wants to comment anymore.
No, what it actually is an action plan for, there's a short-term action plan, a longer-term action plan to make sure that we're compliant with legislation with our risk
And I think
areas.
it's going to be pretty exciting, isn't it? Chris sort of outlined that there could be savings in the vicinity of $700,000 there if it all works. And,
If we can get our workers' compensation premium down, it's about becoming more proactive about how we manage risk and, yeah, pretty much. There is huge opportunity for savings.
yeah, that's right. We'll be watching that closely. The other thing I was going to say is that with these audit risk meetings is that one of the other benefits is we've got two external eyes looking, haven't we, at what we're doing, which sometimes you can, they can see something we might have missed. Jack O'Hara's pretty good and Rod Smith's pretty good. Okay, so there's an office recommendation there that minutes be received and noted. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Galvin and seconded Councillor Mulligan moved. I'll put that motion, those in favour say aye. Against, no, carried. Well, I think we might break for a morning tea before we go into the confidential session.
We've got councillors' reports if you want to do.
Oh, I do them now, yeah, that's right. We can do that, okay, I'll go around the room the other way. Linda?
Just usual, just roads and rubbish, I guess, just making sure, yeah, Cropper Creek, the tip keeps pushing the rubbish in, because it was a good clean-up job there, really good. Yeah, just the roads you go, I do feel we get another big rainfall event, but some of the roads are really going to take a hiding. I guess in light of that, I guess the inland rail's slowly coming to an end there now.
Would you like to catch up with me outside the meeting and talk about specific ones?
Yeah.
Sure.
Did you want to add anything there about negotiations with Inland Rail? It's improved out of sight, hasn't it?
Certainly, the relationship we have now compared to the relationship we've had 12 months ago is day and night. We are still seeing a fairly significant degradation of our road network due to their quarry traffic, which is very specific to two operators that are contracted by Transform Rail. We're addressing that separately to our issues with Inland Rail because they're developer issues rather than Inland Rail problems.
And then it's going to increase now with the, is it starting next August, the actual haulage of stuff for the next section, the start of the border?
They keep pushing it out.
Yeah.
Next August was the most recent update we've had. The quantities that they're talking about are staggering.
Yes.
2 million tonnes of material carted on our local road network. We are currently revising the agreement, the draft agreement that we have with Inland Rail regarding road use, and we have adopted the position that if roads are not fit for purpose, we won't be permitting Inland Rail traffic on them. Now, how that's gone to our legal people and to Inland Rail's legal people to work out how that's actually going to look and how it's going to function, but because Inland Rail is not a development that council approves, we aren't able to place developer conditions on it the same way that we would for a quarry development. So in light of that, with the agreement that we have with them, we are attempting to put some roadblocks, for want of a better term, in place that say we've deemed this unfit for purpose, we want cash or we want upgrades before your project starts. And they've been very receptive to that.
The last meeting I was at, which I missed the last one, I think you missed the one I was at.
Yep.
We had a representative from the contractor, I'm talking North Star of the Border.
Yes.
He, and I know you come away with these meetings feeling pretty good and it doesn't always eventuate, but he was pretty determined to look after the roads.
Yep.
Yeah.
So has the Inland Rail, has the next section been approved in or not?
I don't know that the
Where's this, the EIS?
EIS has been approved.
Yeah.
We've both the mayor and myself have had the same story that the beat up about it stopping at North Star was just a beat up.
Well, they've issued a contract, like
That's what I couldn't understand. I remember the last.
Lango Rook have got the contract to build it, and I spoke to them in Canberra again, and they're all, in their mind, there's no doubt it's going to continue, the Inland Rail. And apparently the Prime Minister should have known this, but he made the first advance. His government made the first advance of money towards this project, and from what I can hear, Albanese is in favour of it. That can change. He's got a treasurer that mightn't be, I don't know. But they said it's business as usual. They've said that to me several times.
Sure, what a bit of ridiculous.
It is, and you can't. What I was concerned about was, you remember on the NBN program, when the coalition got in, they watered it right down and made a lot lesser project. Yeah. I thought this might happen with Inland Rail, but when you think about it, you can't water this down.
No.
You can't just lay another track in through Queensland because it's bigger rail, bigger sections of rail, and you have more ballast, bigger axle loadings, and so it has to be a new system there. Yeah. But my thoughts are that it'll stop when it gets to Brisbane. They won't go through Brisbane like was planned. So that's a very, very expensive part. But I think eventually it'll get there. But, do you agree with that, Alex?
Yes.
Yeah. But they've been pretty good. You know, they shouted breakfast in Canberra, and we talked to them there. And I think the actual inland rail people have been very communicative.
Yeah, but and so Transform Rail, their communication has improved.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. You done, Councillor Moore?
Yeah, not much gone. I'd just like to say thank you to the council for their response to attending that we changed over and listening to Ben and talk about their experiences with Ryder.
Their talk was really good.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And I think it's going to do the world of good. The other one was they had that honour with Heart Walk the other day in Moriolland. That's $7,000 and $8,000.
How much?
7.7 and 8,000.
That's good, isn't it?
It's a good crowd. Yeah, good crowd actually. And the new shop's opening in Moriolland called Pepper Box Gallery.
That's tomorrow, isn't it?
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Pepper box.
Stuff to do with me.
I was going to say you've got an art gallery, Curly.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple of phone calls about it. I said, no, it's only good Jenny grew.
Well, Jenny grew up on Pepper Box. Yeah.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
That was the original place.
Yeah.
I thought you must have been doing art with a 4-inch housebrush, Kirby.
Yeah, no.
Taking out from Rolf.
No. Anyway, that's all right. Then I'll talk to Alex about a couple of other
Right. Okay.
things if that's okay.
Thanks, Gil.
That's all I got, thanks.
Councillor Matthews, you have next?
Look, I would like to foreshadow that there's going to be problems with a medical clinic in Barmera and Bingara in the near future.
Yeah.
I know that you've had an approach, Max, from the CEO. They're shedding staff like crazy at the moment, RAMS. They just shed the recruiter for locums. She was terminated yesterday. So, you know, I think they're going to shed Bingara as well in the near future.
You don't happen to have a health statement on that organisation, do you? Financially, I mean.
I don't. No. We don't, you know, it's a fairly opaque organisation. We share our expenses with them, but we don't get financial information from them.
No.
I know that they're increasingly moving to telehealth because that's profitable for them. The clinic in Bingara is profitable. It's one of 2 clinics that are profitable. The CEO speaks double talk.
Yeah.
He tells you one thing and does another thing. So, you know, there's kind of rain clouds on the horizon as far as the future of that clinic's concerned.
Did you want to add to that, Max? I mean, you sent an email around the other day.
I would like to add to it in confidential session.
Okay, right,
if
fair enough.
if
I think it probably
Chris is
should
happy.
remain in confidential list. There's been, yeah, as you know, there's been some talk already. But, is that all you have?
That's all I've
Chris?
got.
Thank you. Councillor Galvin?
I've got a couple of things. There needs to be some gravel and grading on the Ginneroy Road. I got a message about that yesterday, around the Ginneroy mailbox area, when it's very wet. The Orange Festival's all ready and up and going, and yeah, I think it was 42 stalls yesterday afternoon, or from memory.
Can I ask a question on that, to both of you? What's your plan if it's wet?
Well, we were going to have a meeting yesterday about that because there was prediction that it was going to be 30 mils of rain, but then we cancelled the meeting because my understanding is they've downgraded that rain.
So 80% chance of rain, I mean 10 mils will stop it.
I thought it was about 5 mil.
Well, I think that'll stop it.
No, it's, well, on this morning's weather, it said just light, very
Yeah,
light rain.
very light rain.
In-
Very light
And we
rain.
had to run with that, we've gone too far into
Yeah.
it. Stallholders already.
That's why I'm asking the question. Here you go, from the bomb, yeah, it's only 0.2 to 3 mils, 70% chance. It's
Yeah.
been downgraded.
I thought it would be, because that's why we didn't have the meeting yesterday afternoon, because of it being.
Okay, so,
So in fact, we don't have a plan B because we decided it's going to be beautiful.
if it does rain, could you not move it to the showground or somewhere and continue with it? I mean, we've got people coming from Willoughby and we've got stall holders coming, rather than just cancel it.
Well, I don't think our intention's ever to just cancel.
Well, it was a few years ago.
We did, yes, but it was pouring rain
Yeah.
at the time. we
I know,
made that
I know,
call.
but it
And
wasn't
that's
raining
not
when,
the
that's
summer.
right, yeah, yeah.
But it was pouring at the time we made the call.
I'm not
I
being
think
critical.
it's been too much, we put too much into it, or just put a hell of a lot into it.
Well, I still repeat my question, what if it is
And I'm
raining?
saying,
Yeah.
I don't think it will be cancelled.
No, but what if it's, what's the plan if it is raining?
Bring an umbrella.
Yeah, bring an umbrella.
Seriously?
I don't think there'll be too much.
I don't think there'll be too much rain.
Oh, okay.
We
Well, I'm
haven't really
hoping
made
if
a
not-
plan B, but I don't know what it is we could move down there. All our stall holders would line up against the street.
Yeah,
I don't know what we could move down there. We may have to abandon showing movies at the Roxy and take something in onto the
yeah,
floor. in
oh,
Roxy
okay,
Or
yeah.
something like that, but at this stage we haven't gone with anything.
You can put it in the old council chambers, there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's barred up. I thought about it in
Yeah.
a vacant building.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll bring something up in confidential about that too.
oh, yeah.
There's big concern about the showground. Can we get the grandstand cleaned before the weekend? Because they said, it came from, someone from Pony Club and said there is a lot of bird poop in the grandstand and it wouldn't be, it's not real pleasant for people that are gonna be there for the rodeo.
You know, I have an issue with this. The trust is not shouldn't necessarily be the caretaker of the ground. The users should do that.
And we have done it, we've done it. We need to have another meeting because I had a call the other day, could we buy the sensory things that make the noise?
Yeah.
But I don't have a delegation, so I needed to, that's when we're in Canberra.
That's all right.
I don't have a delegation to authorise.
Yeah, but if the pony club want to use it, let them clean it. I mean,
Andrew does, you
No,
just
fair
need to
enough.
talk to Andrew.
I was just bringing it up, someone brought it up to me and said.
no, I'm not being critical of you, councillor Galvin, but you see my point?
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying this is because there was a request from the Warrialla Pony Club yesterday that the camp draft ground at Warrialla is hard, and what are we going to do about it? So I have to take a tractor in and do it because I'm a trustee, and I don't think that's the way it should work.
No,
It shouldn't work
no.
that way. The user can take a tractor in and rip it up, or the user can clean up the bird manure. And in the meantime, the trust can investigate some way of stopping the birds, but it's not the trustee's job to do that.
Is that for the jumping event that you're talking about?
No, for the rodeo and the motorbikes on
No,
on
not-
Saturday
The
night.
other side.
So it's not the pony club at all, it was pony club, it's Warrialla, that's
No,
right.
but it was somebody.
From the pony club.
Okay.
That's what I said, it wasn't sorry,
Yeah.
that was my.
Well,
It's
I
actually
don't know,
Brent- It's actually Brent Pankhurst.
I'd welcome comment on this, but see what everyone else feels. I think the trustee manages the ground, they don't clean it, and they don't have to, not obliged to.
And it has been cleaned out, the groups have cleaned it and cleaned it. It's something further than that, and we need to find a way around it. But Andrew hasn't been well, so I haven't
No.
gone to him, and we can wait, well, I thought we could wait, but maybe we can't.
Isn't this event part an extension to the Orange Festival, so it's
Yeah.
sort of us?
Yes.
Pardon?
This event that Tiffany's talking about on the weekend is an extension to the Orange Festival,
Yeah.
so it is up to us to clean it, if we
I
want to
don't,
use
I
it.
don't believe it. It's up to us, not the trust.
Well, I don't
no, no.
believe it will have a lot of use, really, because it will be held over the other.
They'll all be down at the rodeo shoots.
At
You have to have good eyesight to be able to watch
Yeah,
it.
so I reckon.
Watch it from there.
Yeah.
Okay, I brought it up.
Can I just make a comment back to the Orange Festival? I heard yesterday on local radio, the promotion of it by Georgia, and it was excellent. I wouldn't be surprised if it's really encouraged the local region to attend as well. And also Christie gave it a big rap as well on that
So-
local
Like
radio.
happy days a number of
Yeah,
times.
she did, yeah.
I may as well bring this up then rather than, because I think we're going to get quite a good crowd.
Yeah.
I was in the Tourist Information Centre yesterday and there was a lady that is a camper and she's come back specially for it. Now, my concern is on Sunday, and I've only briefly spoken to Georgia about this because I thought more into it last night. On Sunday, the Imperial Hotel is closed on Sunday morning. Now, I believe as far as I know, the Sportsman's Hotel, but I've got to check that out, doesn't open till 11. Now, we're going to have a lot of visitors in town on the weekend. The Roxy doesn't do breakfast. So I'm wondering, and it's something I'm going to bring up with Georgia, should we approach Lions and another coffee cart to do breakfast in the main street or on the riverbank or something on Sunday morning for the rest of the visitors? Because I know at Easter when there was nothing open, there was lots of complaints, there was nowhere to get breakfast.
Not a bad idea.
Maybe we need to, I'm talking about.
Kelly Skelton's got a,
Yeah, well, we've got a coffee cart in town that was going to go down to the riverbank, but there's no power there. So I just didn't know, and she's happy to do it, but she didn't want to tread on anybody else's toes with the two people in town. The cafe's got a pop-up.
Well, you know, if you do that, you probably need to announce it all day on Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why
We'll have a talk about that.
That might have to check with Eric Ozels.
L'Oreal.
Sorry? Yeah.
West Hotel,
Hotel.
real good breakfast.
Check with Eric Ozels. He's not going to open that day.
It's not.
He's not.
It's not. I spoke to James.
That's unbelievable,
James-
isn't it?
Okay. All right, you finished it? That's all? Well, Councillor Smith?
No, not this afternoon.
Okay. Councillor D? Colton?
Overgrown block in top end of Long Street. I mean, I've noticed that I don't know the number of the house, but the person that lives there who's bought the house it's a rat hole there at the moment. Next is White Rose's place, which was, what was the lady's name?
on the corner.
Shearer,
On the corner?
Mrs. Shearer's place, Betty Shearer's old place, yes. No, it's not on there's one on the corner.
It's a vacant one there.
Yeah, there's no nicotine one there, but then there's
It's bad
spikes,
too.
and then there's this one, this side, and it's really good out there. No, between Spike and Nick Baxter.
I'll check that out, but I'd be surprised if there hasn't been notices issued because they've had a real blitz on. But there is a process you've got to follow through.
The only other thing I had was I attended the Historical Society meeting the other day, and the Hope Street block that I mentioned with the baker's oven and
Oh, yeah.
various other things with the plans to pull down the brick building, etc. and so forth. So
Well, it's got to go to community consultation and, yeah.
it was mentioned.
As I told the person that I gave the plan to, it will go to community consultation.
Yes.
Mm.
They told us that.
The preliminary arguments, we haven't got that far yet.
Has there been much talk about pulling those brick buildings down, or any of the buildings?
Yeah, hey, that's what David.
I've heard a bit,
There's been a bit of a groundswell about the historical brick building, but certainly nothing about the former seed and grain buildings or sheds.
No, I don't think that, no, it was the brick buildings that were the main.
The kiln.
occupation, and we did,
Yeah.
I said, well, you probably
In the
wouldn't
building.
want to
It's
see
falling
it.
down. We don't have to.
Buildings, so,
Walk
yeah.
up and down the
Well,
hills
it's
and
one
building
building, I think.
floors, so.
Colin and I,
Brick buildings.
Colin and I inspected the building, the brick building and the kiln out the back, etc. A couple of weeks ago, and Colin's putting together an estimate of cost to make it safe. Parts of the wall are even falling in at the
Into a
moment.
pizza oven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have some options come to council, and also when we go to community consultation, we'll be able to tell them how much the cost will
Yeah,
be
yeah.
and how that will impact on the funding for the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
So there'll be informed decision making.
Hopefully,
Comment that was made to me, the meetings won't happen.
Well, that's a big statement. That's a very big
I thought it
statement.
was a big statement.
I was just about to say, hopefully common sense will
Must be gonna
prevail.
stand in front of bulldozer.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
they
that
might have
could-
some money to contribute to.
No, if they stand in front of the bulldozer, that could solve the problem.
All right, is that you, councillor Golden? You finished? Thank you, councillor Regan.
Just to say that we did attend the conference in
Yep.
Canberra.
Mhm.
We're up against, I thought I was speaking loudly. We're up against it when we go there now because the Greens and the city-centric councils overwhelm us. I think that's my interpretation of it. The thing we did do was go to a JO's meeting afterwards, the joint JOs of, do you want that in?
You can do that, yeah.
In confidential or
No,
not?
no.
And we had a meeting with the Nemoy JO and the New England JO, which was fully attended, I think. I don't think there was anyone missing, was there?
There was,
The
Oh.
mayor of Narrabri, isn't it?
no, but there was another council, not the,
Kathy
Yeah,
Green was there
yeah.
for her, wasn't it?
your Ella wasn't there.
Ah,
No, your Ella.
I don't know if they were at the conference.
No, they weren't, no, they weren't.
anyway, we had the what we went there to achieve was not achieved, and that was to see if we felt that we should become one JO. Now, the mayor from Tenterfield spoke very strongly about taking it back to their council and everything. John did ask that we be given an indication, which I should have said the mayor did ask,
No, it's all right.
that we get an indication of how the councillors in attendance felt. We didn't get that. It was poorly chaired.
I think it was a case of two chairmen that didn't want it,
Oh,
and they would not address the issue at all.
No, they did
I
not.
spoke to one of them afterwards and told him how weak I thought it was, and anyway, can't do any more.
But sitting back in the room and looking at the people there, there's more than health can be achieved by being a joint JO.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot we could achieve by being a friendly combined JO that could synchronise a lot of things. But that's just my opinion of the meeting.
And I think the meeting decided to go work together as one on the issue of New England Health and try and get to the bottom of that. But,
We asked who the ones were that were against it.
yeah, well, it was the chairman from Gunnedah and the chairman from Inverell. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And I think that everyone else was in favour, with the exception of Tenterfield, who were very cautious and said that she wanted to see if it was going to work first before she committed. And anyway,
and would take it back to her council.
Max had a very good point. They don't have to be a member of any JO if they don't want to.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good idea.
And what should have happened was a show of hands to get some sort of thing happening, but we didn't get
They
anything.
wouldn't do it.
It was just a, but anyway, that's my report from Canberra.
Thank you. That's covered my report too. I think the only thing
Oh,
I've
sorry.
got here is a letter from Lisa E. Scott thanking us for the flowers and kind thoughts on the passing of her mother. Very nice. Okay,
Just
so
one thing, John, sorry.
yeah,
With Catherine saying that about the waste of time, because of the city, remember a long time ago,
Yeah.
everyone was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Why aren't we pushing more for a divide between the country councils and the city council?
well,
We
There's
had it.
no bloody
it's just
way in the world that we have nothing to do with.
yeah. But in my time, those two organisations were amalgamated.
Yeah,
Um,
it's only a
There
few
was
years ago.
local government organisation and then the Shires Association, yeah, and they amalgamated, and we could see all this was going to happen. The only interesting point was, though, that at the Jamie Chaffey from Gunnedah put up a motion that the government investigate the use of nuclear energy to produce electricity, and there was a lot of debate. Anyway, it only just lost. It was pretty close.
It was very
Really
close.
surprised me, that. Yeah. So I think that's probably worth pursuing.
And the worst thing about it is, as a rural remote or just even a regional council, regional becomes lumped with Wollongong, Newcastle,
Yeah.
Port Macquarie, Coffs Harbour.
Central
So
Coast,
they're all the councils, well, it's regional, it'd go our way, but those councils are all skewing the votes. We're not getting our representation.
Yeah.
But, you know, you don't get too concerned about it because as far as I can see, nothing happens anyway.
Not much.
These are all put to the government and that's the end of it. I wouldn't be too worried about it. But there were some good speakers, good networking.
Yeah. Good networking,
Yeah.
it does work well that way.
All right, well, if that, have you got
There'll be
anything to add, Max?
well, I was just going to say, there'll be a full report going to the July meeting because some of the presentations I think are worthy of actually being tabled at the council meeting, and I'll do
Yes.
that in the July.
I agree. And was I missed Linda Burney, did she speak well? I can see her speak subtly.
I thought the Minister for Agriculture, the new Minister for Agriculture spoke very well.
And so did Little
And I
Proud.
have to say, David Littleproud, when you looked across the room, was absolutely brilliant in his speaking. He kept the world, everyone was interested.
It's definitely not my phone, doesn't sound like that.
Sorry about this, I thought I'd change it off.
All right, look, we'll break for
fact,
morning tea. We'll come back to the confidential session, which will be chaired by the Deputy Mayor at the commencement of it anyway. Max?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, we have some items coming out of the Committee of the Whole in relation to the updated Kiora 819 Eden Forest Road Gravesend Condition of Consent Report. The recommendation to the Council is that the report is received and noted and that the ongoing regular inspections be maintained. Further, that the management plan and annual report be submitted within 90 days. In relation to the tender for supply of binder materials for stabilisation works, the recommendation from the committee is that all tenders are declined. Further, Council invite, in accordance with clauses 167, 168 and 169 of the Local Government General Regulation 1995, fresh tenders for the supply of road binder based on the same or different details. Further, Council conducts analysis of future supply quantities across all resources in order to identify areas at risk of exceeding tender thresholds in the 2022-2023 financial year. Further, tenders are invited for any areas expected to exceed thresholds. In relation to the deferred item from the council meeting regarding donations, the recommendation to the council is that the donations be approved subject to the storage shed be a $10,000 loan to the op shop, the Bingra op shop, repayable over 5 years at $2,000 a year. Further, that the 2022-23 donations list be made public. And they are the recommendations from the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. So,
You need a mover.
yeah, I need a mover that we adopt those donations, I guess, or accept them. Councillor Mulligan and a second, Councillor Smith. Put the motion, those in favour say aye. That's now carried. With that, I declare the meeting closed.
Yes.
Thank you for attendance.